Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Forever Wild podcast, powered by Eagle Wing Tours and hosted on the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Songhees and Kozapsim, also known as the Esquimalt First Nations. My name is Molly.
I'm Sam.
And I am Tom. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about killer whales.
Tom is beside himself with excitement for this episode.
I'm pretty excited. They are my favorite animal. To no surprise to anybody, but
Yeah.
they are my favorite.
Yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
On this episode, we'll be talking about various different topics. We'll be talking about ecotypes, what it means, how many we have in and around the Salish Sea, British Columbia in general. We'll be talking about the naming conventions and how we identify all of these whales. And then we'll probably get into how the Salish Sea has evolved in regards to killer whales that kind of utilize this area. But Sam, do you want to break down what an ecotype is and how many we have?
Yeah. So an ecotype basically talks about or describes the family dynamic, how these animals are living, their food source, where they're traveling to and from. So this can go from a diet of only fish. This can be a diet of marine mammals. This can be living in small family groups, matrilineals. This can be living in large pods. So in the Salish Sea, we're lucky enough to see several different ecotypes. The intercoastal bigs population, the marine mammal hunting orcas, and then we can also see resident killer whales, in specific the southern resident killer whales, the critically endangered ecotype. And then on the north part of the island, you can see the northern residents, and we are also lucky to sometimes see or get reports of offshore orcas, and they specialize in hunting sharks, skates, and rays.
Nice. And so when we talk about ecotypes, are we talking about, is that a global phenomenon? Are they different species? How are we categorizing them?
Yeah, so all around the world, there's anywhere from about 10 to 13 different ecotypes. And in these areas, what we're looking for, like, again, is the family dynamics. How many are in a single group, again, referred to as a matriline or a pod. Yeah.
Okay. So how many are there? 10 to 13 globally.
Yeah.
And they are spread globally?
Yeah, from pole to pole.
Okay. Do you find all of them everywhere?
Obviously, different areas around the world, you can more dominantly see a certain ecotype. So down in the Antarctic, there are many different ecotypes that hunt different varieties of food. But up here in the Salish Sea, we're lucky. This is one of the most biodiverse areas to see different ecotypes. So the three that we mainly see or attempt to see is bigs, residents, and then the very, very rare offshore ecotype.
Sweet. Yeah, I think the last time the offshores were here was in the early 2000s. It was a group of like 50 or 60 or so.
That is so cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, the residents here break up into kind of two different subgroups. As we kind of go throughout the episode and we talk residents, we'll probably be referring to the southern resident orca, which is a genetically distinct group out of the residents. So it's made up of three different pods, JK and L pod. But we also have northern residents, as Sam said, that hang out up north, North Island, kind of Haida Gwaii, maybe even upwards closer to Alaska. But we probably won't be referring to those if we're saying residents, because frequently in and around Victoria, you would have normally seen the southern resident orca.
And is there a reason why we call them ecotypes rather than different species? Because you've said that they've been genetically distinct for thousands of years and they don't interbreed and they can't communicate with each other. What's the difference?
Scientists are still arguing it. There was a paper submitted, what was it? It was last year, wasn't it?
Last year or the year before.
Yeah, they were trying to argue that the bigs and the southern residents, or just bigs and residents in general, were genetically different, but they still
Isn't it like
said no.
300,000 years they spread apart?
Yeah, it's longer than some species of like primates.
Primates, yeah, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I think it might even be further than us with Neanderthals. Like,
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they created the word ecotype for orca.
Yeah.
Because in other species, they'd call it a subspecies. Like
Yeah.
you have subspecies of tiger.
And for some reason, they won't let these guys be. They won't. I mean, they are. I guess in the wild they wouldn't interbreed, but I guess in captivity, like they can have viable offspring. So I think maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
I think this is just gonna be a fight for the next
Yeah.
God knows how many
Yeah.
years.
All the listener needs to know is that there are different kinds of killer whales, and we call them ecotypes. And you find different ecotypes in different places. And the ones we get here are the bigs, the residents, and the offshores.
Yeah, which is awesome. Back in the day, we used to get a lot of southern residents. I mean, they're still kind of here, but that's J, K, and L pod. And then we get a lot of bigs killer whales, which we identify with a T for transient, because they were actually previously known as transients. And then they would get a series of numbers following their name. But yeah, the naming conventions are pretty interesting with killer whales and has evolved over the last 70 years. We actually just showed Molly today a picture of baby Chainsaw, baby T63.
He's a baby.
He was a baby back in, I believe that book was printed in the 80s.
And he's a big boy now.
He's huge. He's quite old. Yeah, what is he, 46, 45, 46
Coming
this
up
year?
to that, yeah.
He's up there for a male killer whale. But initially, when these whales were given photo identifications back in the 70s, they were taking pictures of all their dorsal fins, and they were assigning them pod IDs. So they were assuming that they were all the same type of whale. And where this all kind of separated was that a researcher known as Michael Biggs, hence why we call these guys Biggs killer whales, kind of realized that he was seeing certain whales on their own, traveling differently. They're having a different diet. Residents, both the northern and southern residents, primarily eat fish. Southern residents primarily salmon, and I believe northern residents have a little bit less of a picky diet, so they'll eat more varieties of salmon, more varieties of fish, but they're fish-eating killer whales. And he was noticing that the bigs, which we now call bigs, were eating marine mammals, and they sounded very different. They looked quite different. They were getting notches, scratches, and cuts, and they had more pointed dorsal fins, while the resident orcas have very rounded fins and what we call an open saddle patch. So the gray streak behind an orca on a transient or a bigs, mammal-eating orcas, is closed. So just imagine a solid gray streak across the back. And on a southern resident or a northern resident, they can actually open up, so you'll get kind of black in between the gray, which is really neat.
It almost looks like a V shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember recently the Centre for Whale Research announced the birth of a new L-pod baby, and it almost looked like a candle flame.
It's cool. It's like it's very artistic.
They're so unique.
Yeah, they're so super cool. So yeah, once they realized that there's a different type of killer whale, they named them transients because we believe that they transited in and out of the area. They had to go back and re-identify them. So we were just talking earlier about Chainsaw, who is T63, meaning he's the 63rd transient that they counted and gave an ID. He was originally V10, which is super cool. Now, what really throws us off is that his mom, who should be before him, should technically be T62. She's actually T65.
She is. When we're naming killer whales, we don't give them a number that indicates parentage unless we're 100% certain. And I guess at the age that Chainsaw was first identified, he was a bit too big to be definitely the calf of one female or another. So
he's most definitely a mama's boy now, though.
Oh, yeah.
He was
definitely
the
a mama's
first
boy.
killer whale I saw on the West Coast.
Which is
really?
He was my first day on the job. And I remember Rob was like, do you know how lucky you are? And we used to have a coworker named Megan, and she worked for...
Shout out Cell Legacy.
Yes, shout out. And she was dying to see this whale. I think she saw him on
it was 8 years.
8 years.
It took her 8 years.
8 years.
Well, he comes around the worst time for like most of us, right? This was back in the day a very seasonal job. So like March and April weren't very busy, and that's typically when Chainsaw shows up is right at that end of March.
I've seen him in the summer.
He comes now. He's more frequent now.
Yeah, this was my first year working all year, and I've definitely seen him a couple times, and he's impressive.
Yeah,
he's a
actually,
good-looking dude.
last season was the most frequently I saw him.
Yeah,
it was several trips because my first year I only saw him once, and then my second year again only once, and it was in April.
Yeah, last year was he did show up a lot last year. He hung around for a while.
Later summer too. He was here late.
Yeah.
And the reason we call him Chainsaw is because his big 6 foot tall dorsal fin has these two massive notches cut out of it. Looks like the teeth of a chainsaw. It's probably from a sea lion.
Yeah, and he's had that since he was a baby. But yeah, that's kind of how the naming system works. So they went in numerical order, and they can still continue to do that. So if you find new bigs, killer whales, or transients that haven't been previously ID'd, they get a full number. Good example are the 3 whales that showed up in Vancouver who were first spotted in Anchorage Alaska last year. That was the only time they were documented. They showed up in here. They are Bigg's killer whales. They're not the intercoastal, so they are not the same ones that we have here, but they were given the identifications T419, 420, 421 because they're brand new.
Yeah, even though it is probably a mother and her 2 offspring.
Yeah.
We can't know that for sure.
Yeah. So now, if you have a known whale who now has offspring, the way we keep track of the lineage of the transients or the bigs is we tend to keep mom's name. Because as Sam was saying earlier, orcas tend to travel in pods or matrilines. Technically, it's still correct to call them a pod. I like to go with bigs. I like to call them matrilines because it is typically mom and kids, and it kind of just really reiterates that it's a mom and her kids. So if we take T65, for example, we'll just keep using her as an example, and she has kids now that we know for a fact are her offspring. They're traveling right beside her and they're super young. We keep her name right off for her offspring. So now all her kids are T65 and we add a letter. So A, B, C, D. So you can always go back one digit and kind of figure out who's related to who. And then if they have kids like T65A, the first definitely known offspring of T65, all of her kids are T65A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you go back and forth. It's getting really long now.
It does. It gets complicated after a few generations. We're starting to see ones that are kind of, I don't know, for example, this isn't a real whale, but T65A2C3.
Yeah.
And that's why we also give them nicknames.
Yes.
We also give them nicknames.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not as good with the nicknames with all the orcas. With the ones that are like my favorite, I'm pretty good with them, but it's easier to connect with them, especially story-wise. Like T63, not much of a connection. Chainsaw,
Yeah.
you're definitely gonna make a connection with
Though,
Chainsaw.
you know, thing about Chainsaw, right? Chainsaw, awesome name. One of his sisters, Artemis, awesome name.
Awesome whale too.
His other sister, Chunk.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
a great name.
What?
Chong.
But what a way to lose the name lottery.
Yeah, that is true.
Like Chainsaw, Artemis, and Chunk.
Yeah. That is
I've
true.
always been mad for her about that.
Well, I mean, she probably doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
but
be honest, they should.
That's true. Do you have a favorite whale then?
My favorite is 123A, Stanley.
Why is Stanley your
He
favorite?
was the first one I saw in the wild
Ah.
back in 2018 with Eagle Wing before I worked here.
Ah.
I
And
was
then-
a guest.
Did you not also name 60C?
It's 60C Yell Nats because they look almost the same.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Stanley
big
Yell
fan of
Nats.
holes.
That was a good book. Well, listen, when I was in teachers college teaching kids, God knows how many times I read that book through all grades too. Like, it's a great book.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Do you
I was
have a favorite?
probably reading it to a class at that point, which is why that name popped in my head.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Um,
Go on, Sam. what's your-
probably Indy T65A5. I've had incredible encounters with that guy. Yeah, I have a picture of him breaching with bull kelp in his mouth. I have a
Unreal.
wicked encounter where he had like a dead harbor seal pup, and it was incredible.
That's cool.
Incredible.
That is cool.
And how about
What about
you?
What about you, Molly? Who's
Do
your
I
favorite?
have a favorite killer
You
whale?
can't ask the question and not
And
have a
I
favorite
answer,
come
favorite
on.
one. Come on.
It's a really basic answer. 49A6.
Ah,
Baby Charlie 2.
No,
He's a
no,
cutie.
I like
That's a
that.
good
No,
one.
that's a fair
Yeah.
one. That's a fair
Yeah.
one.
Charlie 2 is a young killer whale. He must be 4 now? Coming up to 4, 3.5.
I think
Yeah.
2022 he was born.
And he just has the cutest underbite, and he
Ah.
looks so silly, and you can see his little teeth just poking up.
Yeah.
But he's known for being very rambunctious.
yeah.
You know,
I
he
wonder
likes
what's gonna
to.
happen to those teeth,
I know, right?
right? Because it's like constantly being exposed to salt water as he swims forward. Like,
yeah.
is there something that's gonna happen to those teeth? Are they gonna wear down faster than the rest of his teeth?
That's
I don't know, but it's a good thing that male killer whales are mama's boys, because
God,
Nan will keep him
that
fed.
Poor mom, though.
Yeah, literally.
49A will keep him fed. She's
Yeah.
just had her 7th baby. She has 2 older boys who don't travel with her so much anymore, but still like to come back and say hi every now and then. She's got her work cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's how the naming convention works. And I guess we can go into the family system too, because we just said, "Oh, poor mom,"
Yeah.
for a reason. So with the matriarchs, kind of, or the matrilines, the way they work is that typically the females, just like humans at around 20, they're like, "I gotta go. I have 2 kids now. I'm gonna move out and do my own thing." Some of them tend to follow mom's pattern that they were taught. Other ones may stray away and just kind of go off and do their own thing, and then come home for Christmas dinners and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the males dare I say it, just like humans stay at home forever with their mom.
I love you, Mom.
Real mama's boys.
Big
Yep.
mama's boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? Is they leave for one thing and one thing only, and that's the ladies.
Do they even leave though? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure mom brings you to.
Yeah,
I don't even
Mom's
think
just on
they
the
leave for
outskirts,
that.
She's the
hurry up.
ultimate wing woman.
Yeah,
She's
I
like,
maybe her like so. Yeah, 49A out of her 7 calves, 5 of them are confirmed boys, which is
She's
that's
got
a
it
lot
tough.
of mama's
She's got
boys.
a lot of work
yeah.
to do.
But there are some females who have lots of boys and do very well, and they're big boys. Like look at 69, right?
69C.
Comox.
But yeah, but then look at her brother, or his brother, 69F. He's tiny.
Yeah, because mum ran out of ink. She put all her energy into 69C, and then 69D is just like a tiddler. But so did 46. Look at Loki compared to
Oh yeah,
Thor.
Loki's yeah.
Or T19 with her 2
Well,
boys.
yeah,
Yeah, she's
T19's
got
2
two, yeah,
boys are
those
big.
guys are
Yeah.
huge.
She's like someone. I had a guest say to me the other day that she was like the Mama Kelsey from
from the
from
NFL.
football.
Yeah.
Every time we see the T19s, everybody's like, "Oh, look at the baby." I'm like, "That's Mom."
That's one of the
Those
oldest
are
killer
her
whales.
big boys right
yeah.
Yeah, she's actually one of the oldest killer whales in the entire population.
there, which is
She
so
is.
cool to think
She
about.
is, but only since her mum died. Last
Yeah, her mom
year.
was the oldest,
They're
yeah.
a long-living family.
Is that when it was confirmed that Mom died? Was last year? Or Grandma? Sorry.
It's well, she hasn't been seen since 24,
So she had like there was
and
this
she was in
an-
her 70s.
yeah, she was born in around 1955. There was this weird encounter we had like off Constance, and they were kind of treadmilling off Constance, and then the next day, I think it was Tassie Shaw got T18 by herself, and then hasn't been seen since.
Wow.
So she kind of separated off, and the 19s went off, and 18 kind of went and did her own thing. But it was weird because the year previous to that, she was off on her own, actually hanging out with Indy at some point, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
65A5.
Yeah. 65A. I named my dog after 65A5, and then they switched the name. It used to be Elsie. They thought it was a girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so then that's where Elsie got her name from, was
That's
65A5, and then right when I did it, they changed his name to Indy, and I was like,
I did not know.
it's Elsie forever.
He was missing for a little bit too. Like he wasn't spotted for a while. Correct? Am I right on that? Or
Yeah, well, last year he came in like skinny,
Yeah,
beat up, had a
ripped up.
He
like
looked like he had beached.
yeah,
he
and
was kind of covered in scratches, but they didn't look like rake marks.
yeah,
he definitely beached.
yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely beached.
And that would be so on brand for him.
it
Because
is.
all he ever does is get his head stuck in crab traps and get
Oh my
himself into
God.
trouble.
Yeah,
He's independent.
He's
Indy,
independent.
but yeah, he's
I
not very
love it.
good. Not very good at it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
no.
it's so he's a weird one because he's separated from mom. So like we said earlier, boys typically stay home with mom, but Indy was a little different. Like when he was like 8, he separated off from mom, and he's just been doing his own thing, and he is known to get in trouble. A couple of years ago, he got stuck in an inlet. He got in, low tide came in, and he got stuck in a pool for a while. Ended up getting out, and then I think it was 2 years ago he did that crab trap.
Yeah. He was 24.
One of the Pacific Whale
I
Watch
think.
Association whale companies like canceled their tour. They were on a tour, I believe, and hung out with India. They're like, yeah, we're gonna wait till Noah gets here.
Till his friend gets here to save him.
Yeah,
National
Oceanic.
Oh,
atmosphere.
I thought
Not
you meant
49A1.
I
No,
thought you
no,
meant
no.
49A1 Noah.
No, it's
Because they do hang out sometimes.
they do.
But he hangs out more with Jude, but he has hung out with Noah in the past.
No. So I don't know the acronym.
National
Oceanographic, oceanographic.
No, it was
The American DFO.
atmospheric, I thought.
It's NOAA,
Yeah.
Yeah,
National Oceanographic Atmospheric Association,
Yeah.
it's
or
it's
something like that.
sure we'll go with that. But they were coming to disentangle him, and I guess he got himself free. Like he brought it. Like I guess he got shallow. It kind of came free, and he went back to playing with the crab trap after he got himself free and almost died. He's a genius, this whale. And then
Or he's a moron.
one of
With a brain 5 times the size. Of
Yeah. That we know of.
that we know of.
There have been cases of people taking their dogs to the vet and getting them an MRI and discovering that this dog has been living with no brain.
Yeah.
It's happened. And if they scanned Indy and found that
never
there
know.
was not much in there, I would believe them.
Especially this year when he came back. Like he came back with we call this peanut head when they have a dip right behind their blowhole. It's kind of like the last place fat reserves will be taken if you haven't eaten in a while. And he came back with peanut head, scraped up, rake marks, definitely looked like he was beached, and somehow found mom in Puget Sound. Mom kept him around for a few weeks before she's like, "Okay, go back." And she's probably just shaking her head like, "What is this guy doing?
Yeah.
What is this guy
When
doing?"
I saw
Trying
him
to keep an
last
eye.
year with Trev on Goldwing, I was like, who is this? Like, I've never seen a whale, and he was so scraped up, like you guys were saying. It was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, he's a fun whale.
Yeah.
He
It's
is.
fun to watch.
Yeah, he's a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the naming conventions. They are really like kind of a quick kind of rundown of the naming conventions, kind of how they travel together. There is some variation with the bigs, and we can get into that later as well. But typically, females leave, start their own family. Mom's the boss, just like humans, and then the boys stay with mom forever, unless you're indie and you just want to go do your own thing.
Or I have a theory that when mum has too many babies, she kind of forces them out.
Gives the boot.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Maybe
Like
You
Noah
wonder-
and
you wonder.
Jude. 49 A1 and A2. Mum's on baby number 7. It's not possible to keep everyone fed if you all stick together. I think she's probably, but
Well, I think there's a lot we still have to learn
yeah.
about the bigs because we used to not see them very often.
Yeah.
It's only a recent change.
I wonder if it has anything to do with like their prey, because they are known as the silent hunters. Then more family members in a matriline can cause more noise, or someone gets distracted, gives their position away. I wonder if that's a
Maybe.
It definitely is. The most efficient group of bigs is 3.
yeah.
And that's just based off there's a paper in the 90s that was done, and then one of the groups I work with, Orca Behavior Institute, they're working on kind of recreating the study and kind of getting more in depth with the food that they're mostly targeting. But based on hunting times that they've collected in the field, it is actually the most efficient. So it's, a group of 3 whales will take down like a harbor seal or porpoise faster
Yeah.
than a group of 8.
Yeah.
And then on top of it being faster, you get more food because you're going to share it amongst the entire family. So if you travel in a group of 8 whales
Yeah.
and you take down a harbor seal, it's like that's not a lot of food for all of you. But if you're in a group of 3, it's a little bit better. But I guess if you have 7 boys, you got no choice.
That is true. It's funny that it's been shown in studies that their top food source is harbor seal and harbor porpoise. I have seen more sea lion hunts.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I've seen more sea lion hunts than any other.
Oh, I've seen more harbor porpoise
Have you?
and
See,
harbor seal
harbor
hunts
porpoise
easily.
is on the bottom. I've only seen that 3 times.
I think I've probably only seen 3 or 4 sea lion hunts. I have seen countless harbor seal hunts. I've probably seen upwards of a dozen harbor porpoise hunts.
Yeah, see, that's from what I can 100% confirm. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
a quick snack. Hey, we got a little harbor seal here, easy peasy.
I've
Yeah, I
definitely seen a lot
suppose.
of harbor seal. I think the harbor porpoise one is tough
Yeah,
because I think sometimes because they're silent, I feel like sometimes they get the porpoise before it even realizes it and doesn't have a time to surface, and we can't see it.
I'm assuming that if there's a quick successful hunt out in open ocean, it's a harbor porpoise.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that would make sense. And it kind of works with, we're actually here at Eagle Wing, we're doing a data sharing agreement with Orca Behavior Institute. So with every killer whale encounter we do now, we're doing our Biggs killer whale predation survey, basically. So every encounter we have with Biggs killer whales now, we take down location, IDs, were hunts observed, yes or no? Do we have vocals, yes or no? Because we have hydrophones on all our boats, so we can actually, we can hear the vocals on the boat, and then we can record them on our phones.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're trying to gather how often they're hunting and even what they're hunting, and that's kind of based on a scale of educated guess based on location or confirmed. We believe that it's probably upwards of 70% harbor seals in the Salish Sea, but we want to obviously prove that properly by getting as many hunts as we can on our belt. So that's something that we're doing here at Eagle Wing now for this year.
And we are seeing a lot of bigs.
Oh,
yeah.
tons of bigs,
Oh,
which wasn't the case. So the other ecotype that we used to get here a lot was the southern resident killer whales. Typically, the northern residents, the ones that hang out up north, don't come in here into the Salish Sea very frequently. And if they do, it's a very specific family, and they, at least recently, they've been hanging around Vancouver, Campbell River, and stuff like that in the summertime. Southern residents are made up of 3 pods. So J pod, which I believe is 27 whales. K pod is 14. Then L pod's 33 to 35. They used to come into the Salish Sea a lot. In fact, if you came whale watching in the 90s, you were not seeing humpbacks, you were not seeing bigs, you were watching JK or L pod, basically.
And I have never seen them.
I've seen them from a far, far, far distance.
Yeah, I had them on. I had J-Pod on shore once, and it was like popcorn. Like they were just flying all over the place. It was pretty cool. But yeah, they're a pretty exciting group of whales that used to frequent the Salish Sea a lot. They have a very niche diet where the Biggs killer whales, the mammal eaters, are eating seals, sea lions, porpoises, and they'll go after whales too if they're really lucky. They might get a minke whale, I don't know, like every other year. It has definitely happened, but it doesn't happen as frequently as they probably would want to. But, you know, they have a varied diet, so they're kind of opportunistic. Whatever's in front of them, they'll go for it and eat it. Where the southern residents are just super picky. Yes. They want Chinook salmon. And that's it. Yeah. They will dabble in the other salmon in the wintertime, but when it's summertime, they want those Chinook salmon because they are the biggest salmon and the fattiest salmon. Yeah. Best bang for your buck. But, of course, due to many reasons, overfishing on the outer coast, habitat destruction, they're not as frequent as we would like them to be. Yeah. And the sizes have definitely shrunk because we were keeping all the big ones. We take the big genetics out of the streams. And now the fish artificially have shrunk. Yeah. So
there's a lot of things that have impacted the southern residents. Food supply is just one of them. We could go on and on all day about the others. Yeah. But the point is that sadly they have now reached a point where they are considered critically endangered. There's only, I want to say 74.
I think it's 74.
More, yeah. 74 of them left in the whole world. And it's certainly, it's not legal for us to watch them.
No.
Within any kind of proximity that would make it worthwhile. But as a rule of thumb, we don't even try and think about it.
Yeah. No, it's if we've stumble across a bunch of black triangles and you see an open saddle patch, you say goodbye. Yeah. You report it and you leave.
And the law is that we can't approach within 400 meters unless we know what ecotype of killer whale it is. I think they're about to change that, make it a bit higher. Fortunately, either way, our captains are very, very good at IDing them and have very good binoculars. So we're safe.
Yeah. But it's really interesting just how it's changed because, I'm working with a lot of the captains. Like, you work with Rod or you work with Brett, and they used to know all the whales just right off the top of their head. And now it's changed to the point of even if we wanted to watch residents, we can't because they're very rarely here. Mm-hmm. It used to be about 300 days presence in the Salish Sea historically. And working with the Orca Behavior Institute, I've been doing some killer whale mapping with them since 2018. And it has drastically changed the numbers. So, historically 300-ish days present in the Salish Sea for southern residents. In 2019, the southern residents were confirmed here they had 155 sightings. Most of that was J-Pod. Not a lot of Ks, not a lot of Ls.
And is that 155 days or is some of that multiple sightings on one day?
Most of that it'd be first sighting only. So
of course, yeah. Okay. But some of it does come from hydrophone reports and from shore reports as well. Yeah,
so you can always add, with the southern residents, I'd say maybe add 10, 15. To it because if they're hanging out in the Strait of Georgia in the wintertime where there's not a lot of boats going out, not a lot of people on shore, maybe they sneak past or maybe they're spending a lot of days up there. But you're looking at maybe let's call it 200 right instead of 300. You lost 100 days of presence, and you're seeing that a lot in the San Juans where it's like where you could go to Limekiln almost every day in the summertime and watch them.
Guaranteed, yeah.
In my first summer working here, I don't think they came in until end of August.
That's wild.
Which is insane. The Biggs in 2019. We're at 746 sightings. So this one could be multiple in one day, right? It's every family on the first. Or multiple families in one day. You're looking at 746 total sightings for Biggs in 2019. Last year, 2025, the southern residents dropped to about 149 confirmed sightings.
That's wild.
Again, mostly J-Pod. They've been from 2026 or 2025. There were a lot of reports off of Swiftsure Bank. So the open ocean where they were hanging out. The Biggs went up to 1,860.
So they more than doubled.
And it's been just...
That's like 150%.
It's insane. They were everywhere, all the time, every day. Hotspots changed based on kind of time of year. And if the herring were running, they were more up north. Later in August, when the sea lions come back from mating, they were definitely more south. But the increase in big sightings is insane.
Yeah, that's wild. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Was it last year that the Southern Rezzies did like a record-breaking travel week? It was like 1,000 miles, and
I think that was last year where they went to. It was 11 days from like California to Active Pass.
That is incredible to me to think that they crossed that much water in that span of days.
But that's also quite sad because that means like they found nothing
They had
probably
nothing,
down there. Like, there wasn't worthwhile staying down there, so they had to book it back up here to hopefully find some food. But yeah, it was 11 days California to Active Pass.
That's insane.
Which is insane.
And even just the amount of strain that puts on them as animals. Like, that's like a human being.
Yeah. And imagine being
spending
like an older,
11 days running from Victoria to California or the other way around without having food.
Yeah. And being like an older family member, like, oh, I got to keep up with everybody
or
now.
A baby.
Or a baby, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and you're in a big family too. You're not traveling in groups of 3 to 6 like you are with Bigs. You're traveling the entire pod, multiple matrilines together. So J pod, all 27 whales are leaving.
Yeah.
K pod, all 15 whales are going. L pod's a little funky where there's like a little bit of a there's a little bit of a split up there. There's a subgroup that kind of peels off, but generally you're with multiple moms with multiple kids, and you're looking for food. Thankfully, I think they are finding quite a bit of food off Swiftsure Bank, which is probably why they're hanging out there more in the summertime rather than off San Juan's. But it's just crazy how drastically the Salish Sea has changed since probably like 2015 is probably when you really started seeing it. But
what is there, like a primary driver behind that, or is it just food preference, and then the transients are basically saying, oh well, there's no one over here anymore, and there's a lot of seals.
Let's get this territory.
I think the one big change was, I think there's multiple for both. So like if we focus on southern residents first, the big thing, I think one of the big factors in their survival was the captive trade, the captive era back in the 60s and 70s. Since they were always here, right, and we didn't have any research at this time. They were doing the captive trade and research at the same time, not understanding how many whales you actually had. Over half the population was captured and killed in like over 10 years.
That's wild.
Genetic bottleneck right off the start, and then now you're just adding on top of that food shortage, on top of that genetic bottleneck. It's a recipe for disaster. And with the way they kind of seem to travel, right, the matriarch's the boss. You had J2 Granny, who estimated to be over 100 years old. Well, she's like, yeah, we're going to go here. This is where I found food for 100 years. This is where my mom found food. That's where my mom's mom found food. And then, like, you're going back thousands of years following the same trek. Like, she didn't want to change it because that's what she knew. And I believe once she passed, that's when they kind of adjusted and started looking elsewhere for food. Speaking on, like, just the diet, I don't think the southern residents are very adaptable.
No.
Especially in such a short period of time with how fast we changed it.
And I suppose as well, because the way that they find their food is so specialized, they're hunting by echolocation, and unfortunately, in some places that can be impacted by sound pollution, whereas the transients are hunting by sight. They're much more adaptable. It's much easier for them to find their food regardless of what's going on around them.
That is, it's wild to think that the Rezzies, they're looking for the swim bladder for this like certain species of fish that they want to go for. That always blew my mind. That's so crazy to think about.
Yeah, what they can actually visualize with the sound, like with echolocation, is just it's nuts.
It's incredible. But hopefully with luck and with work and with restoration, maybe we'll see the patterns change again.
I would love to see them come back in here more. I do think them leaving the Salish Sea and focusing more on the outside is potentially one of the reasons why the transients are actually coming in here more. These whales do not get along at all. Southern residents and Bigs do not interact, and if they do,
they don't fight though.
WWE smackdown.
Like I think the Bigs would love to fight them. I think so too.
I could be Spouter and Galliano. They'd be.
But the only problem is you're going to lose versus 20 whales versus 3. You're toast. So I think that's part of the problem is that the Bigs are outnumbered based on the pod size of the residents. So like the Bigs they kind of try to avoid them. I remember there was a tour I had with the T60s, and all of a sudden they just took a sharp turn into Whiff and Spit. And it's the 60s. Like, they don't go into harbors. I've never had them go into anything. And we're like, what are you doing? Like, we're like, okay, sure. So we watched them for a bit and let them go. And then later J-Pod popped up a few hours later off the San Juans. And we're like, Oh,
They probably
that's why, because we
heard
didn't have a
them.
hydrophone in the water. Had
Yeah.
we had a hydrophone in the water, probably would have heard, J-Pod way offshore.
Mm-hmm.
But they came in, they were probably squawking, talking about the weather and all the fish they were going to find. And
How was
this,
your Christmas?
Yeah. I was with you. What are you talking about?
and the 60s were like, yeah, we don't want to deal with it. And they kind of
Yeah.
they kind of hid and then actually ended up going the other way once they exited.
Because they do have completely different language systems.
Yes.
Yeah. They
Even
sound different.
within the pods.
Yeah.
Yeah. J's sound different. K's sound different. L's totally different. So you can audibly tell the difference between the three.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bigs, all of them, or at least all the intercoastal Bigs, all sound the same.
Yeah.
Like have the same dialect.
Mm-hmm.
And bigs vocalize a lot less
Mm-hmm.
than resident killer whales do.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of hard for you to want to come in here if there's a bunch of residents that are going to beat you
Yeah.
up and not want you around. But also, we were doing calls of seals and sea lions
That's
back
true.
in the 60s
That's
or the early
true.
50s. So once we stopped that and the seal and sea lion population came back to carrying capacity, the bigs would recognize it. So the name transient is it's almost similar to probably what J-Pod's doing, where the transients would come into the Salish Sea. Nah, not enough food.
Back.
I'm going to go back out.
Yeah.
Where J-Pod's coming in going, not enough salmon. I'm going back out.
Back out, yeah.
And now
Right.
they're talking about doing seal culls again.
And
Yeah.
I will say this year is the largest amount of harbor seals I've ever seen around Race Rocks. Like so many harbor seals
But
around there.
it's also the largest amount of transient killer whales that we've
Exactly.
seen.
That's exactly
That's
it.
true.
You don't need a cull to control the harbour
Population.
seals. It's not possible for them to be eating too much salmon unless there is already too little salmon to begin with. And why would that be?
No, and there's a whole paper that came out about seals and their diet, and there is like a very small population that does specialize in seals, where most harbor seals eat a very varied diet.
Yeah.
Oh, only like 60% of their diet is salmon.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not even. I think some of them were less than 5%.
Wow. Or maybe it was 6 then. Maybe I misheard
Yeah,
that.
I think it was like some of them were like in the high 90s, I believe, but they were the ones that hang out by like river mouths and stuff. So like
Yeah.
on man-made
Mm-hmm.
rafts and human influences cause these seals to
Yeah.
hang out there because they're not dumb. I'm gonna hang
No.
out by a drive-through. It means easy
Exactly.
food.
Yeah.
But
They're kind of dumb.
Yeah.
no, they're
They're a little
fine.
bit dumb.
But you
cute,
know,
though.
they are adorable. But like human influences cause those ones, I believe, to have that kind of influence on their diet, where the other ones that hang out more open or more open water,
Yeah.
varied. You're eating
Mm-hmm.
octopus, you're eating spiny dogfish, you're eating all that kind of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But with the bigs coming in now with lots of food, they're
Yeah.
eating like 200 to 300 pounds of food a day.
At least, yeah.
At least. And it shows. They're big, powerful animals. They're breeding. I mean, what's their rate of population increase? Like,
It's like
4%?
4%,
Yeah.
yeah, which is good,
Which is really
It's incredible. And most of those calves survive.
Good. Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare to see a big killer whale that has that peanut head that looks malnourished. And if we do see one, typically it's an older individual, and generally we don't see it for much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even with babies too. It's so exciting when the bigs have babies. Like it looks like this year we've had 3. In my free time, I scroll through Finwave, which is the happy whale version for killer whales, and I might just scroll through the individuals and stuff. And I noticed that there's a 23D6, so it'd be the 6th calf of T23D, and it was spotted in February. So that's a new one, which is cool.
That's a new one, 49A7,
A7.
46B8.
Yeah. And then just as we were actually recording, if I know where I put my cell phone, 71B may have came in with a new calf as well. And she was actually missing. Her 2 other kids came in without her. And then she wasn't there.
That's something that we've seen a few times now, is that the females will actually leave the family group, disappear for a few weeks to have their baby, and then come back later. The weird thing about 71B is it's been 6 months. She's decided that her other kids are apparently doing just fine without her.
They don't need her.
So,
The one's named Nemo in that group. He's got a small pectoral fin like Nemo.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh
That is
my
so funny.
goodness.
It's sick. I have never seen it. I think
Yeah.
I got close on one because it came up and was doing like peck slapping. You couldn't see the peck, but the wave blocked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a little
I
tiny
have,
peck fin like Nemo.
I have a name suggestion for 49A7.
Let's
All
hear
right,
it.
let's hear it.
I would like 49A7 to be named Nano.
And why is that?
Because 2 reasons. Firstly, because mum is called Nan and she's in her 40s now. So realistically, this calf is probably her last. Can't promise anything, but probably her last. And the second reason is because the day that this calf was first documented, and who was it? I'm sorry, who first documented this calf?
Sam found it first,
I
actually.
did
No,
find it
you
first.
you were close to
Okay,
finding.
well,
You were
I-
close to finding it. I led you in. I see. This seems to be a trend. I lead Sam to the.
You
right
were both on the
babies.
boat.
No, I was not
No,
on the boat.
I texted-
Okay.
No,
I
he.
texted you.
Yeah. So what happened was he was on the boat. They were on an education tour.
Yeah.
He found Noah,
Yeah.
which was sweet, and Noah
Yeah.
hasn't been seen in a while. And I sent him a screenshot of 49A because she was missing for a few days or for
A few
a few
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
And I sent him 49A's dorsal. I was like, look for this one. Does it have a new baby?
Yeah.
And it did have a new baby.
And it did have any baby, but you, Tom, got that picture of Noah, who is an adult male, 6 foot tall dorsal fin.
He's a big man.
He's a big boy
Yes.
next to 49A7, and it is so small.
Little bitty guy.
It's the tiniest little orca baby I ever did see. So I think that Nano is a very
that
fitting
is a good
name.
name.
That is,
And
I
also,
like yeah.
because her babies, with the exception of Jude, all have names that begin with N.
Yeah.
It's Noah, Nat, Neptune, Nebula. Oh, and Charlie doesn't count.
Yeah. But
We
he's
can,
unique.
yeah,
Jude,
he's unique.
but
He's
Charlie,
different.
Charlie's named after the other Charlie, who
yeah.
also had an underbite, so he's an exception. I don't know where Jude came from. So
he
we
doesn't
got
travel with them anyway, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
So we're switching back to the N theme.
Okay.
So
Well,
baby Nano, I'm going to pitch it. This is my pitch, in fact.
Yeah.
Tom,
You-
tell the Orca Behavior Institute, baby Nano.
But they're not the ones that
Name.
name the whales.
Okay, well, can you tell the people who tell the whoever?
Well, if you
names-
put your suggestion in, and then I'll vote for it.
Actually, this is a good point. How do we name the whales?
That is a good point.
That's a good point.
we were like 40 something minutes in, and we have not talked about how we name the whales. The nicknames, pretty much anyone in the whale community, there's like a private group that we all vote on names. So everyone kind of, a poll will open up. We'll all suggest names for various reasons, markings on their dorsal fins, personalities, maybe naming themes with the family, and then we'll all vote on it, and it just kind of and they seem to just stick.
Yeah.
Which is it's fun. I like having the nicknames
I
for
do
some of
too.
these
I
whales.
do
I like it, and I think it helps people to connect with them a bit better, and whether that's for their own enjoyment or so that they can sort of feel they want to help save the whales, I don't mind.
Yeah. That
And
is true.
these guys do have personalities.
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
Like
Oh, my
you look at somebody
goodness.
like Indy, like
Yeah.
compared to Chainsaw. No,
Yep.
totally did. Like they have
And
person.
Charlie too.
Yeah, Charlie.
and-
Yeah, Charlie
Or
too.
even with the 19s, you always will see Spouter with mom, and then Galliano's kind of spread back, a little bit pushed back, and then it changes all the time. So.
Yeah.
My favorite like mental image of that family is just mum with these two like adult full-grown males who are like, mom,
Yeah.
mom,
hungry."
mom, look over here, look what I did, mom,
Yeah.
come hold my hand,
Yeah.
mom, Galliano's annoying me
That is
again.
literally that's
This is
Spouter
definitely
to a
happening.
T. That is Spouter. It's like, mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and these whales are what, like 24 and 30?
30. I think
yeah.
31 for
Born in
Galliano. Yeah.
95.
No, 90. Well,
95. He's gonna be 31.
Yeah.
turning
old.
31.
And then
Yeah,
Spouter's 20.
2001.
Yeah.
2001. Yeah. He's,
Yeah.
God, he's huge, man. When I started working 6 years ago, he was tiny.
Yeah.
Not tiny, but he
But
was like
he was small.
Like, you know what 65B1 was? Kind of remember that size last
Okay,
year? That's
yeah,
how
yeah.
big Spouter was. And then all of a sudden he showed up when you were like, Jesus. Like,
He's a big
huge.
boy. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on the naming polls.
Okay, I will.
And the suggestion.
You have my
polls
vote.
for
I will stay out of that one. I'm
49A7.
not gonna
Yeah.
work on. I'm not gonna
Nano.
vote.
Nano.
I still think Sam should have naming rights, though. He found it,
It's okay.
but it's okay. We'll give it to Molly. So yeah, that's kind of how the naming convention works. Families travel differently. So the bigs, mom, kiddos, southern residents, tons of whales. Right, you got the 3 pods, and then yeah, the whole whale watching here has just changed entirely. Where back in the 90s, you're watching JKL pod, where now you're watching T63 or the T49As, and even if you wanted to, you can't find the residents.
Yeah.
No, it's an industry that was built on watching the resident killer whales that now watches exclusively transients and humpbacks that weren't even here.
Yeah, at the same
when the
time.
industry was being
It
built.
shifted a lot.
Yeah,
so.
we need to get Brett on to talk about like the early days
Yeah.
of whale watching and how it's just changed entirely.
Yeah.
I
know,
reckon we
wish-
can make that happen.
I-
Oh, absolutely.
He's got no choice.
Yeah, you're stuck with us.
Yeah, you're stuck with us now, buddy.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot an email to the podcast at Eagle Wing Tours. Happy to answer. You could also DM us on the socials at Forever Wild Podcast on Instagram and TikTok.
And if you ever feel like coming whale watching and maybe seeing some bigs or some humpbacks, or have a look from shore, see if you can spot some southern resies. Eagle Wing Tours is as we've mentioned, the number one on TripAdvisor, has been for many, many years now, and we would absolutely love to see you on board. We have 5 boats, we've got multiple trips a day, and we do have a whale guarantee. So come on over, you might get to meet one of us if you're lucky or unlucky.
Stay tuned for our next episode.
See you soon.
Bye.